One of the most annoying and common problems on my Widewheel is these fucking covers break off all the time. It's a brand new one and the bloody thing's broken here and here already. It almost seems like an impossible task to keep them going, but it's actually really important to do so because that little pathway there is actually straight down the guts of the axle, and that would lead water into where the motor actually lives, and that'd be pretty fucking bad. You don't want that at all. Now, I've come up with what I consider to be an interesting solution, which is some nylon bolts. Now, they're the same M3 thread as the bolts that came out. I'm going to attach them a little bit differently. And while you're here, it's always a really good idea to just double check that guy, because this whole fucking swing arm just depends on that guy being there. Now, I've Loctited both this side and the other side, but every time you have the opportunity, just give things a check over. Also, the same as the nut here. Now, you may notice when you look at it carefully, the nut on the end of the axle actually fits into a recess, right? So there's the nut isn't just square; it's got like a circular shape to it, right? That actually keys in to this whole section here, so that even if it is a little bit loose, it's not really going to make a big difference. Now, inside there's actually part of the axle that presses against part of the swing arm, and that's the spacer that you would get with other bikes. Anyway, at the moment, I'm just going to get the other screws ready and demonstrate this whole process. Okay, so the theory is going to be that I have a short one and a long one, and the short one I'm going to actually thread in here, and the long one I'm going to thread in here. Now, I'll have to actually sticky tape or gaffer tape my cover on, and then I'll use a stack of 2 washers to hold it on. I might not need these big ones, the small one might be enough, but we'll see. I haven't done this yet. Okay, well, as it happens, I normally use a bit of gaffer tape to hold these things on because I got sick and tired of them breaking off, but it's a bit of a pain getting the gaffer tape on and off all the time, but I'm getting pretty good at it. To be conservative, I usually take a strip and tear it down the middle so that I've got at least one nice straight edge so that I can place my cover on, get the cable in nice and snug, and then once I've held it to that location, I then just put a little bit, screwed my gaffer tape up because I was not doing this. So put that along there, push that on, and then just seal it on, and it stays there. It actually doesn't look too bad, and I can actually run the gaffer tape in underneath there and all the way around, and it actually looks pretty reasonable. But let's have a go at this. Now, you want to be careful with your screwdriver. Make sure you've got exactly a nice fit on your screwdriver, because you don't want to stuff this thing up. So I think that's the long one down there, yep. Because if you get the thread, if you cross thread it, it's just going to be ugly, and if you fuck up the head, it's going to be uglier still, because then you have to cut the head off to get it out. So let's just see if I can get that little guy in there, get him to take. Yep, he's taking nicely, so now I'll just try one washer. I think the one washer is actually going to work, you know. It's going to perhaps need a little bit of tape on it to, you know, gaffer tape on there to cover up the hole a little bit, act like yeah, one's actually going to work. I don't think I'll need the fat ones. So make sure it's a good fit with your Phillips. It's a number 1 head on this one. So screw him down there, and he's actually binding onto that hole very nicely. Now, I might I might want to put some black tape over the end of that, you know, just for example, just to cover it up, and also to prevent it from you know, vibrating out on me. But that looks like it's going to hold nicely, and that's actually doing well. So now I might as well just get the short one and put him in there and see how that goes, because it doesn't need to be on really tight, it just needs to be on so that it doesn't fall off. These being nylon, they aren't going to corrode, so I could probably put some Loctite on there as well. That probably wouldn't hurt anything, but for the moment I'm just going to go with this because I want to see how it all works. Now you want to make sure that's nice and straight when you're getting it in, don't force it, and you can see that's starting to pinch along there, so let's just pull the tape off, and that's actually holding fairly well. Now interestingly, the top part doesn't seem to hold as tightly. You can see that I'm not doing these up very tightly because I don't want them to crack either, and that's actually not bad. That's holding it on there, and yeah, that's pretty snug. Okay, so I might go and get well, if you were kind of interested, you could probably just have a go at it with a black Sharpie first, because it is just nylon. I might actually put a bit of thread lock on those, take them out one at a time and put a bit of thread lock on them just so that they don't vibrate their way out, and leave that go as an experiment and see how it turns out. Okay, I'll give that a quick go. Okay, I'm just put some gaffer tape, duct tape on there, and that's actually pressing down nicely and holding. I just obviously I've got a little bit of a crease just on that part there, but it doesn't look too bad. It's gonna hold it. Obviously, it's going to stop it from undoing as well. So that, I think, is going to be my fucking cheap solution. Now, these packets of screws were about $2 each, and I'll put the dimensions in the link. Source your own. They're pretty standard from an electronics place because they're used to stand off printed circuit boards and things like that in electronics. So it's weird that it does that. Don't know why. Anyway, so there you go. That looks like I'm going to be able to fix them, because basically these things break all the time. I'll be pretty interested to report back, you know, in a few months to see how this has gone. But there we go. There's a quick workshop on this. I'll now do the other 4. Have fun.